Mets therapy recap, not dead yet. Game 5 of the NLCS is in the books, and the New York Mets defeat the Los Angeles Dodgers 12-6. That was a much closer game than the score actually dictates. And I'll say this, because the Mets did what I asked them to. Don't lose at home. That is a thing that they haven't done since 1999. Lose an elimination game on the road in the playoffs. I'm not going into Game 6 with any arrogance or supreme confidence, but the thing about this team, and they spoke to it after the game, Pete Alonso with Poppy and the two Yankees, Edwin Diaz in his post-game interview, Francisco Alvarez in his post-game interview, they thrive on adversity. Every must-win game, it's felt they've needed to win over the past 2.5, maybe 4 months, they've won. And now they have 2 must-win games facing them. And so we'll see what happens. The Dodgers, my God. I should not be sweating out 8-1 and 10-2 games, guys. Shout out to Ryan Stanek for throwing 2 1/3, only giving up 1 run. No walks. Same thing for Edwin Diaz. 2 innings, no walks. You get 4 1/3 out of the 2 of them, and it actually shut the Dodger offense off. It's a scary baseball team to play. But the Mets get the win. The Mets avoid elimination. 12 to the second most runs they've scored in a playoff game ever. Ironically, the most amount of runs they've scored. I'm leaving all that in. That they scored in a playoff game was against the Dodgers in Game 3 in 2015. So, the stars of this game, I just want to say something about Pete Alonso, because he hits the 3-run homer in the first inning to break the ice, get some momentum going in the Mets' direction, gets on base 4 times tonight with 2 hits, obviously the home run and then a single in the 8th. He walks and gets a hit by pitch. Everybody shut up about him being a free agent. I don't think he's going anywhere, and he is clearly determined to not play his last game as a Met ever. Like, the guy hit one of the biggest home runs in Mets history. They are going to back up the Brinks truck for him. And that might be the therapy in me just in denial mode, but I do not think Pete Alonso's going anywhere. So, as far as I'm concerned, if this was his last game, it would be a shocker to me. But he did not play this like he wanted to go out sad. So shout out to Pete Alonso with a big night. Starling Marte with 4 hits tonight, 3 doubles, 3 RBIs. The kid, Francisco Alvarez, a 3-for-4 night. Got a continued the rallies, started rallies, is hitting nukes again, which you love to see it. So he gets 3 hits. And then, my God, Jesse Winker, lo and behold, a good option to put in the lineup over maybe singles hitter, JD Martinez. Jesse Winker has to be the DH against righties every start the rest of the series. There's no reason to start JD Martinez in LA. I wouldn't bring JD Martinez to LA at this point. So Jesse Winker with 2 hits, a long single in that 8th inning, which I thought was gone, but also hits a triple to score Alonso from first. Brandon Nimmo gets on base twice. Francisco Lindor gets on base twice and actually hit a ball to the wall that would have been gone at 8 different ballparks, but not one of those not being Citi Field, unfortunately. Jeff McNeil, 2 productive fly balls, 2 sac flies. It's what we haven't been getting from Jose Iglesias. I think this should be the 9 that starts in both Game 6 and Game 7. I'd probably swap Tyrone Taylor and Alvarez. If Alvarez is back to, barrel rate through the roof, then Tyrone Taylor and his 121 batting average, more specifically his 182 slugging percentage, can bat 9th, where he's supposed to be. He's a defensive specialist at this point. So, man, look, I think I've made it clear throughout these recaps how much I respect the Dodgers. At 3-0, I was terrified because of the fact that they don't chase. At 8-1, I was terrified. Their 9-hitter, their rookie 9-hitter, is hitting bombs off of us and pimping out both of them to get them back in the game. And look, the ironic part is they do have guys underperforming in this series. Teoscar Hernandez has not gotten a hit yet in this series. Will Smith has barely contributed to this series. Freddie Freeman's on one leg, but the rest of the lineup has absolutely performed in this series so far. And while Jack Flaherty was awful tonight, he gave them what they needed in game one, a solid start, and then gave them length tonight, which was only 3 innings, to make sure their high leverage guys didn't have to be used tonight. Look, the reality is I was curious if they ran out of magic last night. And I don't know if this was magic, because magic would have been 12-1, and you didn't have to use Diaz, and you didn't have to use Stanek, and you could go into LA a little bit more rested, but the bats woke up. Having to beat a Dodger bullpen that's been pretty elite all playoffs, really all season, and win 2 games in LA will probably require some magic. However, you do have your best pitcher going in Sean Manaea, and then anything can happen in a game 7 with all hands on deck. So I will say that while I would say the Mets have the pitching advantage, the Dodgers have the home field advantage for these 2 games, of course, I will just say all the quotes, all of the attitudes that you hear and read and get from this Mets clubhouse seems like they understand the task at hand. Like, I don't really pay attention to that stuff, because sometimes you can be like, yeah, we're not giving up yet. How dare you give up on us? And then they get it shut out the next day. Like, you actually have to perform. Well, all the quotes that we saw for, like, Lindor saying, if you don't believe in us, then get out of here. Brandon Nimmo saying, of course, like, this be the next step in our story to come back from 3-1. Pete Alonso saying, like, we've been playing must-win games for 2 months. Of course we have to fend off the Dodgers with 2 must-win games in LA. And then to come out and get 12 runs on 14 hits with an additional 7 base runners and 0 strikeouts in 8 innings tonight, that tells me they're up to the task. So, good win for the Mets. They at least made sure that they didn't get eliminated at Citi Field. They're going to force the Dodgers to play at least 6 or 7 games. So, small victory. It's step 1 toward a comeback. And enjoy your off day, Mets fans. Maybe the Yankee-Cleveland series can get a little more interesting. Or it can stay interesting if the Cleveland can tie it up, or at least get that back to Yankee Stadium. Okay, see you Sunday night for Game 6. Let's go Mets.